So I think that what we stand for, and we did this in our initial marketing material, and it's what we strive for every day. It's about integrity, it's about discipline, it's about trust, it's about relationships. And that was my goal day one when it was just me. And now we're our team of 9, and we continue on that path. That is part of our thought process. The clients we have, both on the landlord and the tenant side, relationships are 25 years, 20 years, 10 years, 7 years, 5 years, and building. And that's a big part of what we do, and we hope to continue to do that throughout. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to the Zelnik Exchange podcast. I am your host, Cory Zelnik, and we're going to try something different today. I am going to take some questions and give some answers about myself, the company, tell some stories on some deals, some history, some where we're going in the future type stuff. I have my crack staff, Lauren Topple and Stephanie Malloy, here to help us through. I believe that Lauren will be asking the questions, and I hope I provide some interesting answers for you. So let's get this show on the road.
So Cory, you've built one of the most recognizable names in New York City retail brokerage, but I want to start before any of that. What's a story people don't know? Tell us what memories you have of your first deal.
Well, there's not a lot people don't know at this point. We've used social media. We tell everybody everything, it seems. But when I look back at my very first deal here in the business, I think about there was a building that was just constructed on the Upper East Side, 3rd Avenue, 63rd, 64th Street. It is called the Royale. The building and the construction had its own sad story in the midst of construction. One of the trucks that was carting away dirt actually toppled over and killed somebody. It was a terrible tragedy at the time. The building subsequently got finished, and we had done a deal up there with a retailer, an optical retailer, and the name was Gruen Optica. I believe that John Gruen has since retired and sold his business, but that was the very first transaction.
Tell us about a moment early in your career where you thought, I don't know if I can do this.
Well, I think part of the I don't think I can do this stuff was more, not that I couldn't do it, but it was about getting a real understanding about the patience game in this business. Deals took a long freaking time. They take even longer now, but I'm more attuned to it. I'm more physically and mentally in shape for it. But back then I wasn't aware of it. I did not have enough knowledge to appreciate and understand how long deals took.
Was there one mentor or moment that changed the trajectory in the business?
No mentor per se. I've talked about this a lot. I've worked with some of the best real estate brokers in this industry. I've had the good fortune for that. They were so good, but they weren't mentors. I got to follow along, but they weren't great educators. So I don't cast dispersions towards them for that. They are very good at what they do. So I don't have a direct mentor in the business. What I can talk about, though, is I had the good fortune of meeting someone who was working for an industry trade publication and knew that they were going to run an ad for a job for CVS Pharmacy at the time. They were not in New York City. They were looking for a real estate director. I was going through my bumps and bruises of collecting commissions, not collecting commissions, paying extraordinary taxes on commissions that I made. And this seemed to be some solid foundation for me. So I had the good fortune of meeting the people at CVS and landing that job. So that was probably the first trajectory change in my career.
Let's jump to today. Zelnik Company is celebrating its 20th anniversary this summer. How did Zelnik Company become what it is today?
So I think that what we stand for, and we did this in our initial marketing material, and it's what we strive for every day. It's about integrity, it's about discipline, it's about trust, it's about relationships. And that was my goal day one when it was just me. And now we're our team of 9, and we continue on that path. That is part of our thought process. The clients we have, both on the landlord and the tenant side, relationships are 25 years, 20 years, 10 years, 7 years, 5 years, and building. And that's a big part of what we do, and we hope to continue to do that throughout.
What's been the hardest chapter in building the business?
You know, you can't point to deal frustration because that's part of the business. Growing the business in terms of recruitment and things like that, we're challenged often by bigger companies that put out cash bonuses and things like that. Sometimes we not only do we lose out to cash signing bonuses for potential brokers that want to join firms, and although we are very, very well equipped with respect to software and all the things that are necessary to present what tenants require, what landlords require, oftentimes I find a lot of brokers just want the support of the big firms. So that continues to be a challenge. We have young brokers that I've had come through here and moved on to great success. I'm not looking to take credit for it, but I think we have always been a good stepping stone for people. And the guys that I have now and the women that I have now, I hope to keep them around for a long time because I have great confidence in them, and I have, I think, great expectations for them.
Cory, any deal stories you would like to share?
Well, I got a few that come to mind. There was a bank branch war, quote unquote, 04, 05, and it led to two interesting bank transactions. One, we had one of the largest banks in the country. No need to name the name, but at the time it was so competitive. This was on the Upper West Side for a particular corner location that this bank signed a lease 4 years in advance of the existing tenant's expiration. So they had the right to the space 4 years down the road when the lease came up, or sooner if the landlord was able to buy out the existing tenant. That was a big transaction. At that time, it was the highest rent paid on Broadway. And so we were very excited about that. Always makes for an interesting, I find it makes for an interesting story. And another bank situation where we had two competitive banks, two of the largest in the country, competing for a corner on the Upper East Side where we were asked, I was on the landlord side of this deal and I was on the tenant side as well. We were asking for the space $125 a square foot. We thought we were a little high, but we wanted to be aggressive in the marketplace. Okay. And this also is probably 05, 06. And one bank was in the neighborhood in a smaller branch. They didn't want the other bank to get in and take over a better position in the marketplace. And so these guys went at it toe to toe to the point where, as I said, we asked $125 a foot. And not only did we transact at $182 per square foot, and believe it or not, everybody, we went from final LOI to lease execution with one of the biggest banks in the world in 3 days. Wow. To those that say it can't be done. And then my last one real story, what I call a story, and I've told this once or twice, and we're coming up on 25 years of 9/11. So it's certainly significant here in the city. Not that today's the anniversary by any stretch, but it's coming up. This year will be 25 years since 9/11. And on the day on 9/11, I had set up a meeting, certainly not knowing about 9/11. I had a meeting set up with a landlord who was based in Long Island, and we were here in the city, and he owned a property in Queens, and he didn't want to come into Manhattan, and I didn't love going to Long Island, although I would have. We decided to meet at a diner in Queens, middle ground. And we had discussed basic terms, but we wanted to finalize the deal face to face, come to terms on an LOI and move the deal along. This was a perfect box for Dwayne Reed. The gentleman owned and operated a supermarket in Jackson Heights, Queens. We met up as I'm getting in my car as the first plane hits, but at that time nobody knew what that meant. So I just kept working my way out of the city. I'm going north on the FDR Drive. And then before I knew it, all the emergency vehicles, all the cars, ambulance, police, everybody were going southbound on the FDR Drive. Again, didn't know what the situation was other than the plane hit. as I'm driving out to meet the gentleman at the famous, or then famous, Scobie Diner on Northern Boulevard and Little Neck Parkway, which no longer exists. The second plane hit. Everyone started panicking. Terrorists, this, that, who knows? This is what I'm hearing on the radio. I proceed to meet the gentleman. We meet. Both of our phones are ringing on and off because the phone lines got cut off. No one knew what was happening. We stayed focused on the deal. We agreed to terms, and we shook hands, and we said, let's move forward. Got in the car, knew that vehicles were no longer allowed back in Manhattan as a sort of a side story. And so I drove, since I know my way around the town, found my way from Queens up and through the Bronx, crossed over in the Bronx, thought I'd find sort of for lack of a better term, a backdoor way into Manhattan. But they were not letting anybody but emergency vehicles into Manhattan. I wind up going from northern Bronx straight down to the southerlymost point of the Bronx before we were in Manhattan, park my car, and walk home. And that was a wild sort of part of this story on a personal level, considering what had happened to everybody else at the towers. Most of the people walking down 2nd Avenue as I went home, it was a gorgeous sunny day. People were, the outdoor cafes were packed. People were like partying. I don't think people really knew what was happening. It was really an interesting, wild scene. Separate and apart, to get back to the deal itself, again, I'm representing Duane Reade Drugstores at the time. Here's our perfect 10,000 foot box. We agree to terms of a deal. Let's draw a lease. We negotiate a lease. And then on November 12th of 2001, we're ready to sign the lease. And that morning, a plane crashed in Bell Harbor, Queens, and everybody panicked, thinking, oh my God, another terrorist attack. But it turned out to be, equipment failure. But a plane crashed the day we signed the lease. Agreed to terms on 9/11. Plane crashes the day we signed the lease. Didn't know what that omen really meant at the time, certainly. But here we are. We are now 25 years later, and the Duane Reade still operates and functions in Jackson Heights. So separate and apart, a little side note to that story was Duane Reade had acquired a small drugstore chain on Long Island and Queens that happened to be across the street. So Duane Reade was operating across the street. We relocated the business. It was a smaller store. We relocated the business into the larger format. That was the goal. And at the same time, in the old space, we were able to do another bank deal. So it's a long-winded story, but I like to tell it.
Now, social media. If you had to give us a bumper sticker on how social media has shaped Zelnik & Company, what would it be?
I would say, yes, it has. I would say that's my bumper sticker, but the longer version is that when COVID hit and nobody was doing anything, Stephanie and I made a plan about sort of giving this thing called social media a try. I got in front of the camera, or we posted pictures and we did things, and it started to attract some attention. Do we have Kardashian-like following? Not yet, but we're coming. But no, we've gotten great feedback throughout the industry. Can I sit here and count how many deals I've done because of social media? Yes, because it's about 3 connects that I've made with respect to opportunities, probably closer to 10. But we never did it with that goal in mind. The goal was to pivot during COVID, which is what everybody did, keep our name out there, stay active, and meet people. And because of it, most importantly because of it, I have got great friends, people that I truly consider friends in the business throughout the country. And so we share, we refer, some money's made. Sometimes, not all the time, we'd love to make more, but quite frankly, most importantly, I have great friends because of social media, and I love that.
Awesome. Now we're going to do a little bit of a rapid fire.
Uh-oh.
Favorite NYC neighborhood?
Got to be the Upper East Side, been there forever.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Biggest pet peeve in brokerage?
Silence. I know it's rapid fire, but I'm saying it. We as brokers just want an answer. I ask you a question about something. Just tell me you received my question and you're going to get back to me. Then I have an answer. Don't ghost me.
One word to describe NYC retail.
Strong.
Retail trend you're bullish on.
Continuing experiential retail.
Trend you think is overhyped.
Too much experiential retail.
One app you use every day.
LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. Use them all.
Last great restaurant you ate at.
This is a place, I eat at a fair amount of restaurants, but this place, CR. Awesome. 2-star Michelin chef. Friends of ours invited us. It was awesome. It's downtown in Tribeca, 333 Hudson Street. We should tag them so I can get a promo. Maybe I get a free meal. It was very expensive.
As for the Zelnik legacy, what are you most proud of that has nothing to do with deals?
I think that our reputation continues to be very, very strong in that we, as a collective, and I know it's mostly me, but as a group, I think we are most importantly trusted. I think we are respected, and I think that people appreciate our approach to the business, which is honest, sincere, and straightforward.
What do you want the Zelnik name to stand for?
Integrity.
If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what is it?
Work harder to understand the game. I referred to it earlier about not understanding patience and certain things that come with it. Obviously, this is not a game, but I say understanding the game in quotes.
Lastly, 20 years from now, what do you hope people say about Cory Zelnik?
That guy knew his shit.